Hi, everyone. Don't want to influence anything, but my wife is an alum of Champlain College. Just throwing that out
Go
there.
Beavers! I was going to wear my Beavers hoodie, and my husband wouldn't let me. I don't know why.
All right, time? Good, all right. So, there are currently 1 billion chronically hungry people worldwide. By 2050, it's estimated that Earth's population is going to increase by 2 billion more. To feed this growing population, we're going to need to produce 70% more food. We do not have 70% more land or water to produce that food. So how are we going to do it without destroying the environment in the process? Well, the answer, according to this report that the UN released in 2013, is edible insects. The insect that's going to jumpstart the revolution is the cricket, also known as the gateway bug. I'm Steve, this is my wife Jen. We are the founders of Tomorrow's Harvest, which is the first cricket farm for human consumption in Vermont and one of the first in North America. So why is farming crickets so much better than traditional sources of protein? Well, when compared to cattle, crickets require 84% less feed, 99% less water, and emit 99% fewer greenhouse gases. So clearly they're great for the environment, but are they any good for us? The answer is yes. In fact, crickets are extremely nutritious. We've actually had our crickets tested. We have our nutrition label. Our crickets have as much protein and iron as beef, less fat, fewer calories, and more vitamin B12, potassium, zinc, and we'll test again for more vitamin minerals as well. You could argue that crickets are a legitimate superfood.
So if you heard our pitch last time, you probably have a pretty clear understanding of where we're going with this. But if you're new to hearing this pitch, chances are right now you're picturing a pile of crickets on a hamburger bun, bless you, and you're thinking, how delicious does that sound? Yeah, no, we know that's not what you're thinking. The good news is that the most common way to introduce crickets into one's diet is actually through a powder form. So in other words, take your favorite cookie recipe or muffin recipe and sub out some of the flour that you would use to make that recipe with cricket powder to up the protein and nutrient content, right? Or maybe you'd prefer to enjoy a cricket protein bar after your workout or add a scoop of cricket protein powder to your morning smoothie. Now that brings me to our products. So at Tomorrow's Harvest, we will offer 3 products: protein powder, whole crickets, and fertilizer. So I'm really pleased to announce that since the last road pitch presentation, we have finished development on our Tomorrow's Harvest protein powder. And we do have prototypes bagged over there on the table, so please take a look if you have a chance. The protein powder, what is it? Well, it's just crickets really processed into a powder. There are no additional ingredients, which makes it the purest, most sustainable form of powdered protein on the market. This will be our highest grossing revenue stream because it provides all the nutrition with the out of sight, out of mind factor. It's an extremely versatile ingredient. You can use it as a protein additive to any existing recipe or drink, and not to mention it's extremely sustainable. So in addition, we will be selling whole crickets to any restaurant, individual, or food manufacturer that wants to experiment with the rawest form of the product. And we will also be selling the cricket waste as a very high-quality organic fertilizer. So now, what does this mean? You're probably wondering, but are there people that have been successful with this? Is there a proven track record of success?
The answer is yes. Entimo Farms is the largest cricket farm and producer in North America. In just 2 short years, they've grown from 5,000 square feet to 100,000 square feet by the end of this year. And this is extremely exciting to us because we believe, and we actually know, we can do it better. Exo and Chapul are just 2 great examples of successful companies that use crickets in their products. They are both expanding their product lines currently, and neither one of them raise their own crickets. In fact, of the 50-plus companies in North America that use crickets in their products, only 4 farm their own crickets.
So what does this all mean? Where is this industry going? Just back in August, actually, the numbers increased since our last presentation at Road Pitch. Back in August, the R-Cluster report actually forecasted that by the year 2021, this industry will be worth over $1.5 billion. So that means in the next 5 years, it will experience over a 70% annual growth rate. So now is the time to get involved. This is a snapshot of some of the most recent and large companies that have confirmed that their interest in putting cricket-based food into their businesses. We all know that timing is everything, and so that's why right now we are working tirelessly to become the largest and highest quality cricket farm and food producer in North America before all of the cereal boxes have the words cricket protein as a label on them.
Here's a quick snapshot of our 3-year financial projections. We are currently estimating that by year 3, we'll be looking at a 48% profit margin.
So what are our next steps and what's our goal today? Our goal is to raise capital. We need capital to move out of the small farm that we're working out of now to move us into a large warehouse, which will allow us to maximize production and therefore satisfy both the retail and wholesale markets of our 3 revenue streams. So in the words of our very successful local fellow entrepreneurs, Ben and Jerry, if you open up the mind, the opportunity to address both profits and social conditions are limitless. It's a process of innovation. Well, we couldn't agree more. We are tomorrow's harvest. We're raising today's crickets for the health and sustainability of tomorrow. We thank you for your time, your interest, and most importantly, your open minds.
Thank you. Take that one.
Well, you're
I
gonna
can.
need it. We'll get it. We'll get it.
Okay.
Got it. Steve actually fixes his own motorcycles. I take mine to the shop, so. All right, questions? Bob?
That was a great presentation. I'm just curious, what does your farm look like? What is it? It's not like a cattle feed lot, or what is it? What is it?
So one of the benefits, currently our farm is actually in our basement. We'd love to get out of there. We can use it for other things. That'd be great. But a cricket farm is just going to be containers, basically. So right now we're using boxes because of the space we're in. But eventually when we get into a warehouse, think vertical farming. So we will have them in containers and we will farm vertically. So it's a completely self-contained unit.
Steve?
Have you spoken to Liz Lovely about cricket?
Yes. Where's Liz? Yes, we have before. Yeah, yes, we're very interested. Yes, absolutely. No one better to work with.
Jeremy, then Dave?
That's a quick question. Who's your actual, like I see the need on a global basis, but who do you actually want to eat the cricket protein? Because my perception is that some of the people that could afford it would have access to it, maybe don't. It's not their first choice.
Well, when you think about protein, you have to think, the main products are soy or whey-based. Crickets, when you dehydrate them, are 70% protein by volume. That makes them the highest percentage protein without actually processing them. It's not cricket protein isolate, it's cricket protein. And this is going to be something that's extremely appealing to anybody who's looking. The fitness community is kind of the target right now, but anybody who's looking for high-quality protein, this is going to be the highest quality protein you can get.
So, Dave, I had you next.
Number one, I have an Iron Woman triathlete wife. Thank you for coming to the store. She's still eating it. Amazing. I guess maybe to couple on his question, I was trying to figure out what your target place is to demand that protein powder. If that's what your primary goal is, to sell your powder. Is that a supplement to other food additives down the road? What's the long-term strategy where that's going to go? High jumpers. Yeah.
Hi, Joe. So, in the immediate future, we will be marketing it heavily towards the fitness community and anyone that uses a protein powder today. And so people will be able to buy it directly through our website, and we'll also be looking at retail stores to stock 8 and 16-ounce packages of the protein as well. But I think, as Steve said before, this, as long as it's on the shelf next to another protein source, this can be used as an additive to a recipe to up the protein content, or just your sole protein source. So if you have a smoothie in the morning, you can add a scoop of cricket powder, or if you're baking cookies, you can use the cricket powder to sub out some of the flour. So I think that that's an advantage over other protein powders, is that you can use it in your recipes as well as using it as an additive as protein.
Dave Schmidt.
What's the cost basis compared to other proteins? Are you out to make a cookie, or are you out to solve world hunger? I mean, is it a product that has a future solving that hunger issue that you wanted to right off the bat?
Absolutely. So this is already competitive. There are 5 cricket farms in North America, but Entimo Farms is really it. They supply 90% of all cricket powder right now, and it's already competitive price-wise with other protein and just traditional sources of protein. Now, we're not suggesting that you go into the supermarket and there's going to be a pound of crickets next to a sirloin, and you choose. That's not really what our target is. But the price point's going to be about the same. So a pound of whole frozen crickets will be anywhere from $4 to $10 currently, and that's only going to go down once we actually scale up. So it's actually very competitive. In fact, it'll be much less expensive going forward.
Kyle, then Judy.
So you mentioned this larger producer that's already in the market several times. What do you guys do that's different or better that's going to allow you to become the largest producer in America?
So I've been doing this for 2 years now, 2 years doing R&D, and we have been really focused on producing the best powder. And one of the things, we don't have other powders here today, but we can show you. Think of coffee as a kind of a, basically how you roast coffee affects flavor, how you grind it up affects everything. Same thing is true of crickets. We process it in a different way than anybody else right now, and our powder is much more neutral in both flavor, texture, aroma, and color than any of the other powders, and it makes it a much superior source when you're adding it to other recipes, because again, we don't want it to be a cricket cookie. We want it to just be a cookie that has some cricket protein in it, but you would never know.
Is this process proprietary?
It isn't yet. That's something we would research, but for now it's secret, but we would be looking into that.
And
Judy?
just to add to that really quickly, just our farming techniques are different from Entimo Farms as well, and so we're creating some techniques that allow us to increase efficiency compared to the way they operate today.
Judy.
So on a little bit on that, when you say for people to never know there's cricket in there, my question is actually, have you thought about creative ways to actually hurdle that obstacle and that fear of people eating crickets? Because it really is a more sustainable and higher protein and possibly better product than other protein sources. So instead of saying, we want people to buy the cookie and not know, have you thought about food history and saying this is just the next generation and how we can creatively jump that obstacle?
Absolutely, and I think, it's not that we don't want people to know that there's a cricket in the cookie per se, we just don't want to highlight that. The same reason that, you go to a restaurant and you get a hamburger and it looks juicy and delicious and cooked, but you're not necessarily interested in going back to the kitchen to see the raw meat be prepared. It's the same type of mentality. And, we kind of think about the challenge of growing the acceptance of eating cricket-based foods sort of along the same lines as, the way people thought of sushi back in the 1980s. Nobody wanted to eat raw fish. Nobody wanted a piece of sashimi. But now you can go to Kansas and there's a sushi joint on every corner, which is kind of weird. But you know what I'm saying. So people, it'll take some tricky marketing and some heavy marketing focus for sure. But it's definitely a very probable possibility, absolutely.
And just to touch on that, so there was a farm, it's called Big Cricket Farms. They were in Ohio. They were actually the first farm in the U.S. Entimo Farms is in Canada. They had to shut down because of water quality issues in Akron, Ohio. They're going to reopen somewhere else, I think. But while he was operating, was turning away 90% of his business. And that's without really any marketing. The acceptance level is actually, especially among the younger generation, is especially once you tell them why. When you give them that information, it's kind of remarkable how quickly people are willing to try it.
So we're out of time. Thanks
All right,
a lot.
thank you.